Well, you may have seen this online recently, the 36 questions that, when answered, apparently could help you fall in love with anyone. The hype is based on a study from 2 decades ago, and it reemerged after a New York Times blogger tried out the social experiment for herself. Relationship expert Kimberly Moffit is here to tell us more about these 36 questions. It's amazing the kind of traction this has when it first surfaced in 1997.
Exactly.
And then now it's new again.
Exactly. Well, I think it really brings a real aspect to this study that was done kind of in a psychological lab. Yeah. And now someone has taken this and made it real. I mean, and they didn't do it as a joke. They were 2 real people that said, okay, let's see if this really works for us. And they went out and said, okay, we're going to try answering these questions over 2 hours. And they really gave it a go. And they ended up falling in love.
And
so
they ended up doing
amazing.
It worked for them. And they didn't treat it as a joke. And instead of just being in some kind of lab, they were, in this case, I guess, at a bar. They had a beer. But it wasn't something that they did for comedy. These questions, and there's a lot of them, are divided into sets of 3. What is it about these questions that work?
Well, these questions are very carefully planned, and the way that they're designed is that they grow increasingly intimate in nature. So they start out easy. So questions like, you know, would you want to be famous and what for? And then they get gradually harder. So saying things like, what's the most embarrassing experience you've ever had? Or name 5 things about the person sitting in front of you that you find attractive. Now, that's really hard.
It would be really hard.
But by the time you get there, you're already used to being in that intimate territory, and it doesn't feel as intimidating as it normally would.
So, and some of them into stage 3, you mentioned one of them. Another one is, when did you last cry in front of another person?
Exactly.
Tell your partner something that you like about them already. What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about? Your house containing everything catches fire. You get your loved ones out. What next would you run in to get?
Right.
What's happening throughout the course of these, they're getting more intense, right?
Well, exactly. And I think these questions are so unique that you can't answer in the kind of canned way that you would be able to if you were on a first date or meeting someone at a party. You know, you've got the typical questions like, what do you do for a living? Or tell me about your family.
Hobbies?
Exactly. And we always have the same answers for those. But these are so detailed that you can't lie. You're going to get the most candid response possible, and you really truly get to know that person. Now, in a real relationship, you would probably have to wait until about 6 months before you actually had all of the experiences that you would naturally find out all of that information about a person. But this kind of takes you there faster without having to go through all of those real life experiences. So it kind of propels the relationship forward in a really fun and exciting way.
It's one thing to answer questions. It would be quite another for, you know, many of us to at the end of this question, which is part of the experiment, is that you're meant to stare into each other's eyes for 3 or 4 minutes. What is, I mean, that would be, and in the blogger case, she said it was excruciating. She couldn't even breathe properly at first. What is it about that?
Well, looking somebody in the eyes is intimate. I mean, that's where you look at someone when you're kissing or when you're giving them a hug or saying thank you. And I think we just automatically associate people who we have that connection with as people who are intimate and close to us. It helps us develop a bond, and ultimately the eyes are the window to someone's soul.
How much of this is breaking down barriers?
Yeah, well, I think it's just getting to that level of comfortability with someone, being able to laugh and say, wow, this is totally uncomfortable, but we're doing it anyway. And I think, you know, you may not find love from this. You may realize that someone's not a match for you. But if there is the potential there, it will get you there so much quicker than if you did it the other way.
It's fascinating. Thank you for coming in to walk through it with us.